You're listening to The Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report on Fishing Shirt Friday. It's April 5th, year of our Lord 2024. And what's new about this Fishing Shirt Friday is that unlike last Friday, I'm actually wearing a fishing shirt. Hope you are too. Remember, Academy Sports has fishing shirts on sale. They're Magellan. They're great. Okay, just so you know. This is the Wells Report. What do? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. We do make commentary. Commentary is not news. Commentary is opinion. Yours and mine. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Tragedy. Aid workers from World Central Kitchen trying to deliver aid to Palestinians in the Gaza Strip were hit by the Israeli Defense Force and killed. The inquiry that has moved very quickly through the IDF found Israeli forces struck the World Central Kitchen convoy, which was in the midst of a large-scale humanitarian operation in Gaza, under the belief that they were targeting Hamas operatives. This, by the way, being reported by USA Today. In response, the Israeli military fired 2 officers for their role in the attack on that aid convoy in Gaza that killed 7 World Central Kitchen aid volunteers, including 1 American, an incident that's drawn international outrage and which a new Israeli probe says was a mistake carried out after their forces misidentified the vehicles and carried out the attack. This is from NBC News. Actually, I'm going to have a small issue with that particular report. Let me go on and continue with the reporting on this from USA Today. The Israeli military struck very quickly within their own ranks to make sure that those officers found something else to do, if not leave the military altogether. The inquiry said this, quote, "The investigation's findings indicate the incident should have not occurred." This, according to an Israeli military statement on the findings, which were shared with officials, the nonprofit and others said yesterday. The strike on the aid vehicles is a grave mistake stemming from a serious failure due to mistaken identification, errors in decision-making, and an attack contrary to standard operating procedures. After reviewing the findings, Herzi Halevi, the Israeli military's chief of the general staff, fired the brigade fire support commander, the brigade chief of staff, and multiple senior commanders were formally reprimanded. In a statement, the World Central Kitchen said it welcomed Israel's decision to dismiss and reprimand military personnel involved in the strikes, but said it's not enough. If Israel does not ramp up aid in Gaza, where malnutrition is widespread, and implement systematic changes to ensure safety of all aid workers, there will be more military failures, more apologies, more grieving families, according to the group. The organization also demanded the creation of an independent commission to investigate the strikes, saying that the IDF cannot credibly investigate its own failures in Gaza. Quote, "It's not enough to simply try to avoid further humanitarian deaths, which have now approaching close to 200, said the WCK founder and celebrity chef Jose Andres. All civilians need to be protected. All innocent people in Gaza need to be fed and safe. All hostages must be released. The findings, by the way, were presented to Levy after President Joe Biden said in a tense telephone call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that the U.S. support in the Gaza war depends on immediate steps to protect civilian aid workers. After the call, the Israeli government announced plans to increase aid into Gaza, including opening the Erez crossing from Israel into northern Gaza and the Ashdod port, and increasing aid deliveries from Jordan. As the president said today on the call, U.S. policy with respect to Gaza will be determined by our assessment of Israel's immediate action on these and other steps, including steps to protect innocent civilians and the safety of aid workers. This, according to National Security Council spokesperson Adrian Watson, after the Israeli announcement. This week marks 6 months since the start of the war, when Hamas and other militants stormed into southern Israel, killed approximately 1,300 Israelis, mostly civilians, and captured more than 240 hostages. In Gaza, over 33,000 Palestinians have been killed during the Israeli offensive, this according to Hamas sources, which has flattened large swaths of the enclave and displaced most of Gaza's 2.3 million people, about half of whom are under 18 years of age, with months of only limited humanitarian aid making its way into Gaza. Humanitarian aid groups and much of the international community warn famine is imminent, not likely. Famine is not imminent in Gaza. There are way too many things happening in Gaza to make sure that people do not starve. Remember, hunger is different than malnutrition, and not being able to eat 3 squares a day is not famine. What we're talking about here is we're talking about gross overstatement on the part of people that are trying to stop Israel from destroying Hamas, which is exactly what Israel must do. Remember, this call for a ceasefire with Hamas, they were in a ceasefire before October 7th. That was an agreed to ceasefire, and it was before October 7th, and then October 7th became a gigantic mess and turned everything upside down in Israel. A ceasefire is not the answer. And U.S. pressure to put on Israel, for reasons that I'm still not exactly sure of, to say, you've got to put a ceasefire out here so that you can save Hamas so they can come and kill you another day. Well, that's specious. It's just silly. That's not going to happen. It can't happen. It won't happen. And the United States is putting Israel in a very difficult position. It's not something that isn't deserved at this particular moment. And let's go ahead and address the military officers that got sacked and the rest got reprimanded. Look, technology is a wonderful thing. It truly is. Technology is wonderful, right up to the point where you let it do your thinking for you. So apparently this was a drone attack on this convoy. And I said this yesterday, and I'm going to say it again from a military standpoint. Now, remember, I am not a military expert, but I have studied warfare among human beings throughout the ages in my life. I have done those things because it's essential that you have some idea of what causes conflict and what the bases are and where these things go and how they're fought and so on and so on. Because, as General Patton said, before warfare, everything else in the human existence pales into insignificance. That's not exactly true. I happen to be kind of a fine arts guy. I kind of think that the artistry and the science of Americans that approaches art and other people in the world, not just Americans, I think that's a pretty amazing achievement. But warfare strips down to the bare honesty of interpersonal communications among human beings. It either works or it doesn't. You either win or you lose. And this willingness for politicians to try to create some gray area in warfare, again, is totally specious. There is no gray area in warfare. You live, you die. You win, you lose. You accomplish the mission, you don't. It's very cut and dry. And so, under those circumstances, when there are people living in the gray area, they're going to be damaged. They're going to be killed. Let me give you an example of this. So Hamas breaks into Israel, kills 1,300 Israelis savagely in the most heinous ways possible. They wage war against the IDF. The IDF takes them up on it. And then all of a sudden you've got Palestinians running around screaming, my God, they're destroying us. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. That's that black and white situation. You have to decide whether or not you want your country, it's not a country, it's a territory, or maybe it's just a gathering. I don't really know. But all I can say is that you wage war against an honest-to-goodness country with an honest-to-goodness real military, and they're going to destroy you. Because war is nothing. There is no delicacy. There are no surgical strikes. War is a blunt instrument. And so what you end up doing is you end up going, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to blast Gaza into rubble. And they'll be so busy rebuilding that maybe they won't have time to kill us. And so Israel does that. But then as time goes by, people are saying, hey, wait a minute, we're supposed to be able to drop a bomb into a pickled barrel or fly a rocket through a window. Technology is wonderful and marvelous, and so on and so on. Technology is so wonderful and marvelous, especially in warfare. But now you have these unmanned drones flying around with people in air-conditioned bunkers looking at television monitors saying, hey, that looks like a target. Now, I don't really understand what the time pressure is to destroy any convoy of moving vehicles. I don't understand why the World Central Kitchen didn't have WCF on top of all the vehicles they were driving. I don't have any idea why it was. Maybe the commanding officer, maybe the actual tactical action officer, to use a Navy term, maybe what he was doing was he was tired. I don't know what it was. Maybe he just got overcome by the red haze of war. But all of a sudden he believes there's a gunman in a vehicle. A gunman in a vehicle. And they destroy 7 people? My friends, my Israeli military friends, and I have some, those people aren't going anywhere. Is there an Israeli checkpoint ahead of this convoy? Do they need to know that there's a gunman there? Sure. Absolutely they do. Let them handle it on the ground. Don't rely on a picture on a television screen. I don't care what the resolution is. You can't see. You don't know what's going on. You're not on the ground. You're 500 feet away, maybe, minimum. And so what you're trying to do is make a decision based on nothing to obliterate people based on a hunch. So once again, all you do is you contact, and I'm making this sound very simple. I'm probably forgetting a billion things, and if you're a military professional, by all means, call me on the telephone. 817-379-2172. But this is the way it looks to me. Those people aren't going anywhere. If they were going anywhere, they'd be gone already. You don't have to kill every gunman that's walking around or driving in a convoy. If there's one gunman in a convoy and there's no Israeli checkpoint ahead of them, what are you doing? And so, yeah, the IDF took those people right out of duty. They fired them on the spot. And they reprimanded a whole bunch of them. Okay, that's a good start. Now moving forward, get troops on the ground. Have them move slowly through the populace. Have them interdict anybody that's there in the Gaza Strip and talk to them. Check their identity. And find out what's going on. Are you going to lose soldiers that way? Yes, you are. But just as I keep saying that Hamas waged war on Israel, and they are reaping what they've sown, Israel has also waged war on Hamas. There will be losses on both sides. William Tecumseh Sherman, war is hell. It is, and we're seeing it. And oh, by the way, traipsing around in a food convoy without your initials very clearly on the top of your vehicle is probably not a smart plan. Probably not a smart plan. Mistakes all around on this one. And then the U.S. putting pressure on Israel to stop? No. In my point of view, the United States should be putting special ops personnel in there to go get those Hamas guys. That's my thought on that matter. This is the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us as we continue here on this on this wonderful Friday. I am going to be back in just a couple of moments after you hear from these people.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I talked to you a little bit about an NBC report on the IDF attack against the World Central Kitchen. And here is that report. Watch closely.
The IDF says their forces identified a gunman on one of the aid trucks, one of the aid vehicles, and then identified an additional gunman. Now, after the vehicles left the warehouse where the aid had been unloaded, one of the commanders mistakenly assumed that Hamas operatives were in the vehicle and that they didn't know that these vehicles were from World Central Kitchen. The IDF is calling this a grave mistake stemming from a serious failure, and they ended up dismissing 2 high-ranking commanders on the ground there. We are also hearing from World Central Kitchen, who says it's clear from this preliminary investigation that the IDF has deployed deadly force without regard to its own protocols, chain of command, and rules of engagement. The statement went on to say that they're demanding the creation of an independent commission to investigate the killings of their colleagues. But look, there's really no doubt about it. International condemnation is quickly growing. Israel's staunchest allies have denounced the killings and had called for a thorough and efficient investigation. The EU called for accountability, and public opinion on the way in which Israel is carrying out this war just continues to drastically shift around the world as more and more innocent lives are taken during this war.
Some of the measures that we're looking to include things like the number of trucks that are actually getting in on a sustained basis and not just getting in, but then getting around, the aid being distributed throughout Gaza, including, critically, northern Gaza. Some of the measurements that we've been deeply concerned by, including the fact that almost 100% of the population is acutely food insecure, that they're indicators of potential famine. We'll be looking closely at those to see that they're reversed. So what we're looking to see in the days and weeks ahead is prioritization, surging humanitarian assistance, sustaining it, getting it to people who need it, making sure that those who are providing it are safe and secure, and maximizing every effort to protect civilians, those who are caught in this crossfire Hamas is making.
Yeah, that's Antony Blinken, Secretary of State, trying to walk a very careful line, something that Ann talks a little bit about. She says, ride that fence too long, you're likely to get a butt full of splinters. Yeah, so I understand completely what's happening with regard to this. And yeah, there's an awful lot of political posturing going on, but there's also a war on, and U.S. politics cannot circumvent Israel's efforts to rid themselves of people who want to slaughter their kids in their cribs. You just can't do that. So once again, that report, by the way, I did notice on that report, World Central Kitchen, there's a logo on top of that truck that was hit by a drone. What was Israeli command thinking? I mean, there was a wonderful, right in the middle of that report, there was a statement by somebody who said they violated their rules of engagement, they violated their stated policies, and so on. And that statement is absolutely correct. I brought this up last week. I said that Israel has got to stop making mistakes with regards to civilian casualties in this war. It is impossible to tell who the civilian casualties or who the civilians are. It is impossible to tell. And that's why you have to be careful. Commanders have gray hair. Commanders age before their time. Why? Especially tactical commanders, because they're watching a convoy go through. They think there's a Hamas gunman in there, maybe Hamas personnel. Well, which direction is it going? Is there an Israeli checkpoint there? Can you warn that checkpoint? Can you surge more troops into that area just in case this is a gun situation? If that's the case, blow them away at the checkpoint. A lot of different ways to fight this. But this gets back to something I just said. We need to stop letting our technology do our thinking for us. Strange in a new world of AI, isn't it? Yeah, if we don't get a handle on that, more of this stuff's going to happen, not less. This is the Wells Report, Fishing Shirt Friday. Back with more in a moment as we continue. Thanks for being with us.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Hi, John David Wells at your service. Thanks very much for joining us. A couple of more notes on the Israeli situation. Note number one comes from Yvonne, who says that Anthony Blinken is talking about food insecurity. Food insecurity. No, nobody wants anybody to feel insecure about their next meal. It's absolutely true. But in all honesty, food insecurity is not a thing. It is a creation. It is a happenstance. It is a talking point. It's not real. food insecurity is not real. Now, are there people in Gaza going without food? Yeah. Are they going without food to the point of famine? No. That's why Antony Blinken said possible famine. Well, that's just like food insecurity. Possible famine is not famine. We need to make sure that we don't put our talking points ahead of reality. But then again, that's the nature of politics, isn't it? And these political hacks that are looking at all of this and Monday morning quarterbacking in the middle of a flippin' war is just plain ridiculous. Just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't care if you're the Secretary of State or not. You got to use your brain. You have to use your brain. And somebody has to come up and say, hey, look, Hamas waged war on the Israeli Defense Force and they took them up on it. The IDF said, okay, fine, we're not going to put up with this. And this is what not putting up with this looks like. And yes, there is suffering. And yes, there is hunger. But, all these people, say, for example, Palestinians crying in front of a camera saying, my kids were killed on their way to school. What are they doing going to school in a war zone? What are you doing? What are you doing? That's thing number one. Thing number two, just exactly what's going on with the hostages. You remember the hostages, right? I mean, I remember the hostages. You remember the hostages. Did Antony Blinken take an opportunity to talk about the hostages when he was in front of all those cameras? No. They're American hostages, Mr. Secretary. And oh, by the way, by implication, hey, Biden administration, there are Americans being held hostage in Hamas. Somebody pick up the phone to somebody in Qatar, talk to all those guys that are fomenting this war, that are Hamas leadership, that are living high on the hog in Qatar, and say, hey, you guys release those American hostages, and oh, by the way, any of the hostages that happen to be with Americans, or we're going to send in American special forces and we're going to get them. We're going to kill anybody that's in the way. Do you understand? Get those American hostages out of there. I don't care what your plans are. I know those Hamas people realize that as soon as they don't have hostages, Katie barred the door. That invasion into Rafah, which has been held up for God knows how long, will happen immediately. And the rest of Hamas will be obliterated, as they should be. There will be a few survivors, but you want that. You want a few Hamas terrorists to be able to tell the others, holy crap, they destroyed us. Yeah, they sure did, didn't they? So where are the hostages? There is news on that out of Tel Aviv. Liad Gross visits Hostage Square every week to remember the people he's missing during Purim, a usually joyful Jewish holiday that celebrates survival and continuity. She took the approach of dressing up, covered in makeup, looking bruised and beaten as if a victim of assault. Okay, that's a little overstatement, isn't it? All you got to do is show up and tell the story. That's really all you do. Sometimes all you have to do is show up. But to cover yourself with bruised makeup and so on, please. 6 months from the Hamas attack, the deadliest single assault against Jews since the Holocaust, there isn't much celebrating going on in Israel, as you might expect. On October 7th, 1,200 people killed, 240 more dragged into the Gaza Strip as hostages. Global outrage grows about the catastrophic destruction in Gaza, well deserved by the Hamas terrorists that started it all. But more than 100 have been released, the hostages, 100 are still believed to be alive in captivity, and some of them are Americans. And so about this catastrophic destruction and so on, Israelis remain traumatized, worrying that the world has forgotten about those hostages. The world has forgotten about those hostages. And the United States is doing it again. It's doing it again. Iran took hostages, famously, 1978. It was in all the papers. And they stayed there for over a year. What should have happened is Jimmy Carter needed to pick up the phone and say, release those hostages or we're coming to get them. We're going to come to get them and we're going to destroy everything in the way. So you take your pick. You have 48 hours to put those Americans on an airplane and get them out of your country. If you don't, we're going to war with you. and we didn't do it. Why? Well, too many friends in Iran, I suppose, for the Carter administration. I don't have any idea why that didn't happen. But Americans being held hostage by Hamas? What are you doing? Hey, you guys in Qatar, put down your filet mignon for a second and let's talk a little bit about reality. You want American troops on the ground? We've got Marines right there. You want we don't even have to send special forces. Let's just send the Marines. The Marines are coming to get the American hostages. I suggest what you do is you escort those American hostages to the beach and wait for the Marines to show up. That way, you're not going to have to deal with both the IDF and the United States Marine Corps. We want our terrorists now. And there is, as far as I can see, no argument to that premise. There's no argument. You will release our hostages or we will kill a bunch of you. Take your pick. And although that would give those famous innocent Palestinians an opportunity to talk to Hamas and say, hey, we better let those guys go, man. I mean, do we really want two armies stomping our guts out? Let them go. I don't know. It just, it's like dealing with schoolyard bullies. If you don't deal with them immediately, if you don't deal with them, with your rules intact, then what's going to happen is they're going to keep bullying you. They're going to keep doing this. Israel's finally standing up to Hamas. Finally. And the world wants them to stop? What are you, stupid? What are you doing? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But those Marines are sitting there on a ship in the Mediterranean off the coast of the Gaza Strip with nothing to do. Idle hands are the devil's workshop. Let's give those Marines something to do. Go get the American hostages. Now. And it's not like you're gonna wreck the neighborhood. Okay. Let's see what else is going on. Anything else? November 4th, 1979, the start of the Iranian hostage crisis. That was ridiculous, too. That was just ridiculous. That was ridiculous. We had an opportunity to go in there, grab our hostages and selected government members, send the government members to Nuremberg for a war crimes trial, and send the Americans home. We could have done that. It could have happened in 2 weeks. Why didn't it? And what do we have because we didn't do that? Well, we got Iran trying to develop a nuclear weapon now and burning American flags in the square every weekend. That's what we got going on now. Look, these people, it's not fair for America to take on a little bitty country like Iran. Yes, it is. We do something like that and suddenly, boy, the cost of taking American hostages just gets too high. Just gets too high. But this government should work for the people of the United States, and that includes getting them out of trouble when they are there unjustly. If somebody commits a crime in some other country, oh, that's kind of on them. Yeah, the consulate will come out and say, gosh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, my. Anyway, and do whatever they can to make sure that their families know that they really made a screw up and they're in jail for it. And maybe in jail for a while, just so you know, but we'll keep our eye on it to make sure that they're not being tortured or maimed or anything like that. But they made that mistake. Hostages, on the other hand, no, that's a different story. You take American hostages, a government office is about to explode. It might be yours. Give us back our people. And all this garbage that's coming out of the Biden administration in the U.S. State Department is feckless. It's feckless. Everybody's worried about the food insecurity about the poor Palestinians. They've got food insecurity. They're thinking that they may not have a meal in just a couple of hours. What about the food insecurity of American hostages? Do you think they're getting fed? What are we doing here? And Israel needs to do something about those hostages. The government, Benjamin Netanyahu, and his government need to do something about those hostages. They need to quit playing around. They need to just simply say, yeah, we make mistakes. We sure do. We fired all those officers. Maybe some of them will go to jail. But we're fighting a war now. And you can change your policy all you want to. United States of America, if you want to change your policies on Israel, that is perfectly fine with us. But something tells me that you might want to have an honest-to-goodness ally in the Middle East since you refused to turn Iraq into an American territory. So we would have a base of operations in that very same region, right next to Iran. Gosh, that would be a really good thing, wouldn't it? Hell, if we'd actually left people in Afghanistan, enough people to actually do the job, by the way, we would have had Iran surrounded. Did we? Oh, no. No. We're a nation of peace. No, we're a nation of pigeons. And people are just shooting us right out of the air every time they think about it. What are we doing here? Speaking of shooting birds out of the air, guess what's back? Yeah, it's as perennial as the grass. If there is a presidential campaign underway, there is a horrible virus that's going to kill us all, and guess which one it is? Oh, yeah, it's the bird flu. Great.
Dr. Celine Gounder is here. She's a CBS News medical contributor and editor-at-large for public health at KFF. Dr. Gounder, thank you very much for being here. Once upon a time, we'd see a headline like this, and people would kind of ignore it. It would go away eventually. But post-COVID, now we're all concerned, right? So this person who's contracted bird flu for the second time, what do we know about their condition, and how concerned should people be?
Well, again, I think it's important to emphasize this is only the second case we've ever seen of H5N1 bird flu in the United States. The first was in Colorado in 2022. This person has a very mild case, just conjunctivitis, which is pink eye. And that's important to emphasize because it's not in the lungs. It's not pneumonia, which would make it easier to transmit from person to person.
So we should not be that concerned? How concerned should the general person be?
The average person does not need to be worried. Right. If you have been in contact with an infected bird or an infected cow, or you've had direct contact with somebody who has this, then you need to be concerned. But for the general public, there's really very low risk at this stage.
Should we be worried about the meat supply or the milk supply?
Well, in terms of the milk supply, they are disposing of milk from the infected cattle. They are being isolated. Remember, isolation from COVID. They're doing the same thing with the cows so that they don't infect the rest of the herd. And then it takes about 7 to 10 days for the cows to recover. So they wait. And then once they recovered, they return to the rest of the flock. In terms of the meat supply, again, because the cows recover, they don't have to cull the cattle. They just need to wait until they recover.
So Tony asked about the concern of the public. Should we even be thinking about a vaccine for something like this?
We're quite a ways from having a vaccine. I think the key thing is that the Texas Department of Health, the CDC, really jumped on this. First cases of the cows being infected were on Tuesday. By Friday, they'd already picked up this person, sent testing to the regional lab. CDC confirmed by Saturday. So this was very rapid action.
Oh, I'm sorry. The only problem with that is that the doctor should have been somebody from the CDC saying exactly what that doctor said. Brilliant analysis. Well done. Congratulations. No, there's nothing to worry about when it comes to bird flu again. But the guy who caught bird flu, he's got pink eye. This is national news over one guy with pink eye? Seriously? Oh, they got to come up with a vaccine. How about this? Instead of coming up with a vaccine, how about coming up with Visine? Here's some Visine. Just drop that into your eye. Some of your cows have bird flu. Maybe you ought to stop licking your cows. How about that? Does that make sense? There's also a story about whether the eggs are okay. The eggs are okay. It's all right. Don't worry about it. You're not going to catch bird flu. And if you do catch bird flu, Yeah, pink eye's a pain in the butt. I got to tell. Well, it's actually a pain in the eye. But that being said, yeah, the eggs are safe. The milk, probably not. The meat, yeah, don't worry about it. Have a steak and stop worrying about pink eye. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thank you very much for being with us. Back with more in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report, Fishing Shirt Friday in progress. Get your fishing shirts. Gotta wear a fishing shirt. This is one of my favorites. I love the fishing shirt. I do. You can find them at Academy Sporting Goods. They're on sale. So there you go. I love elephants. I do. I haven't ever met an elephant that I didn't like, well, except one. I got to ride an elephant down the street in New Orleans when Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus came to town, and that elephant thought it was funny as hell to sort of blow his nose, I guess you would call it farm blow his nose and covered me with a glaze of stinky mucus. I don't like that elephant. But by and large, I like elephants. And Botswana likes elephants. My goodness gracious. There were these evil people that were slaughtering elephants all over Botswana, and by golly, they cracked down. They cracked down, and they made it impossible for poachers to kill elephants. And boy, that worked. About, 25, 30 years ago. Now, there are elephants running all over the place in Botswana. It is the largest population. The Botswana has the largest population of elephants. And so, there's just time when you got to do something about the elephants. So trophy hunters do that. Well, Germany says, no, there won't be any trophy hunting. You're not going to be able to bring a trophy here. Well, okay. So those elephants culling the herd is kind of what hunters do, and that's what predators do, and that's kind of sort of what you got to do. And Botswana has come up with a fascinating way of dealing with it. I will explain, and actually I won't explain. The people that will explain are the BBC with this amazing report from across the Atlantic. Watch.
Now, Botswana has threatened to send 20,000 elephants to Germany in a political dispute. It's over elephant trophy hunting. That's the killing of animals under government license. Earlier this year, Germany's Environment Ministry suggested there should be stricter limits on importing hunting trophies. But Botswana's president told German media this would only impoverish people in Botswana. He said elephant numbers had exploded as a result of conservation efforts, and hunting helped keep them in check. Just to remind you, the country is home to the world's largest elephant population, more than 130,000. It's already sent thousands to nearby countries. Let's talk to Dan Challender, who is a conservation scientist at Oxford University. Dan, what did you make of this offer to send thousands of elephants to Germany?
Well, I think the president of Botswana is seeking to highlight the high cost of conserving megafauna species, including elephants. The people of Botswana incur those costs through loss of life in some cases, damage to crops and damage to property. And I think the idea of import bans from European countries stopping trophies coming in from Botswana and other countries is increasingly a diplomatic issue. And it's because it's something that is deeply emotional to the people of Southern Africa and is very important to them. And I think it's important that we consider the high cost that people pay to conserve and live alongside species such as elephants.
Is part of the solution sending elephants to other countries, though? Because I think some have gone to neighboring countries like Angola.
Yeah, I think that's very much part of the solution. The idea that elephants would come to Europe is less realistic in my opinion. But I think the key issue here is that these import bans that are being discussed by Germany and a range of other Western countries are largely misguided, because trophy hunting is not a threat to a single species. And so this idea that these import bans would help protect threatened or endangered species is essentially unfounded.
Yeah, that's one of the things about conservation. You know, we've done that in this country. There were no gray wolves in Yellowstone. Well, we've got to do something about that. So they imported a bunch of gray wolves in Yellowstone and made it absolutely a crime. They will lock you under a supermax prison if you shoot a wolf somewhere in Montana. Okay. Well, now they got wolves everywhere, and they're eating all kinds of things, including farm animals and all that kind of stuff. And the people in that country are going, what are you guys doing? Anyway, that being said, I also love wolves right up until they eat someone I love. Anyway, that being said, conservation, it's funny to listen to somebody go, yeah, conservation is very expensive, actually. You know, once you have a whole bunch of animals, you have to feed them or you have to take care of them in some way. It's very expensive. And trophy hunting is a way to do that. Nobody likes shooting ducks either. I like ducks. I'd like to have a pet duck. I really would. I like birds anyway, but I would really like to have a pet duck. And the thing about that is that the number one preserver of ducks in the United States is Ducks Unlimited, which is a collection of hunters that shoot and eat ducks. And they've done more for that species than any conservation group anywhere in the world. And it's just plain foolishly stupid that people don't actually see that. We should not lose a single duck. We shouldn't lose a single animal. And oh, by the way, don't you think it's funny that the world learns from Texas and Governor Greg Abbott? Isn't that fantastic? Botswana, reading the news, sees Governor Greg Abbott sending illegal migrants into all these sanctuary cities. And they say, well, we can do it too. Let's send 20,000 elephants into Germany. They'll let anybody into their country. Just ask their people. Politicians, man. They are just so amazingly stupid. Okay, so that, by the way, is the first hour of the Wells Report. I want to thank you very much for joining us. We've got hour number 2 right around the corner, so stay where you are.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. Today is Friday, April 5th, the year of our Lord, 2024. It's Fishing Shirt Friday. We're bringing you the news, honestly and fairly. We're analyzing the news for fact and bias. We're pointing out both. In short, we depropagandize the mainstream media. There is commentary. That's just what I think. And it's also just what you think. Let's compare. Let's debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. And yeah, it's a beautiful day here. I don't know where you live, but Texas is gorgeous today. I love spring. I do. So over my very long career doing the Wells Report, I've been doing this, 23 years. 23 years. Good heavens to Betsy. So I've been doing this for 23 years, and I have grown over the years to absolutely dread presidential election years because it's all about politics, and I hate politics. You probably hate politics. I was just on X, and Al Gore is talking about the fact that we're trapping enough heat in our atmosphere so that we have the equivalent of 750 nuclear bombs going off every second. Al, you're such a moron. Anyway, keep yapping. Just go ahead. So because I don't know, I seem to be incredibly sarcastic today. I tweeted back, okay, great. All right, here's the situation. If that's true, we're doomed. So let's start partying like it's 1999 degrees. Let's all take off our clothes and start criticizing each other. But this election year is slightly different. It is. It's slightly different. One, we don't have to go through the extended pain of this endless election season. And because pretty much it's all set. We know that Joe Biden, we think that Joe Biden is going to run. We're pretty sure that that Donald Trump is going to run. But this year, we have some really serious, interesting third-party candidates. We do. RFK Jr. is making sense, which is not something that he's known for, especially when you go back several years and you start looking at some of the things he said. But for whatever reason, I don't know what's happening. I don't know whether he's grown up a little bit, but he's not making absurd statements like Al Gore does. So he's talking about things that are resonating at least with the real Democrats left in the Democrat Party. And so all this being said, he's not the only one Well, he may be the only one now because there was a movement called No Labels. It has just announced, No Labels has announced that they will not field a presidential candidate. I have some theories on that I'm going to share in just a couple of moments, but I thought that maybe what I would do is first share this report on the No Labels Party. This is from Scripps News. Take a look at the latest news.
Political director Andrew Rafferty joins us now live from our DC newsroom. Andrew, thanks for being here. What do you make of this announcement?
Yeah, well, Chris, it's a little bit of a surprise. It wasn't long ago, in fact, just a few weeks last month, that they said they would begin a panel to select a candidate going forward. And this was, of course, after a number of high-profile individuals said that they were not interested, but they maintained that they would continue forward. But in a statement today, they said that essentially they couldn't find a candidate. We have a little bit of what they had to say in explaining this decision. We can put it on the screen here in a moment. But look, the big answer here, the big question we know is that, oh, here we go. Today, No Labels is ending our effort to put forth a unity ticket in the 2024 presidential election. No Labels has always said that we would only offer our ballot line to a ticket if we could identify candidates with a credible path to winning the White House. No such candidates emerged. And so, Chris, if you look through the roster of individuals who had been floated for No Labels candidacy, Joe Manchin, Nikki Haley, Mitt Romney, Larry Hogan, and then the final straw was really Chris Christie. Now, not all those names I just mentioned ever gave this serious consideration, but Chris Christie was. Of course, he ran for president this year, not successful, ultimately ended his campaign pretty early on, but he was at least giving this some thought. But later last month, towards the end of March, said, hey, this is not for me. And they still publicly said they were continuing on, but the road ahead would have been a very murky one for them. Of course, also complicating things was the death of Joe Lieberman last week. He was sort of the face of this movement, and he was at 82 years old. His demise, you got to think, also played in to this decision not to ultimately move ahead, Chris.
Yeah, so Joe Lieberman passing away. Joe Lieberman is a great guy. He's a real Democrat. He's a real American. He's somebody who I admired greatly. And the country is going to miss Joe Lieberman. That being said, the No Labels Party was the victims. They were the victims of what always happens in a third party, like No Labels. The first thing that happens is that they're infiltrated by members of the other parties who talk a good game to get in the door and then essentially sabotage the efforts of any third party. It's that political coin, the left side of the political coin, Democrats, progressives, right side of the political coin, Republicans and feckless Republicans. But that political coin gets spent when somebody else shows up with something that seems more reasonable. I thought that No Labels was doomed from the start. If they're No Labels, then what do they stand for? They never really could define that. And they never really could find a candidate that they thought had a plausible way of winning. And for whatever reason, they didn't talk to RFK. So why didn't they talk to RFK? There's a guy that's got a plausible idea of becoming the president of the United States. He's running a decent campaign. He's saying some really good things that resonate with the American people. Why did they put him on their ticket? I mean, he's an independent. The Democrat Party's abandoned him. I mean, come on. But they didn't do that. So why didn't they do that? Why didn't No Labels just grab RFK? Well, because I believe they realized, the No Labels Party infiltrated by Democrats realized that if they moved forward in any way with a third party candidacy, they were going to siphon off votes from Joe Biden. And they said, this is going to screw things up, at least from the position of the body politic. And so they backed off. RFK Jr. is being sundered from every angle by every member of the leftist/corrupt media. And so all of his reasonable statements are getting submerged in unreasonable and unfair coverage. It's that propaganda that I talk about. And so we're in a situation now where there is at least one third party that has gone away in this election, but at least there are people who say, I'm really tired of all this. I'm tired of Republicans. I'm tired of Democrats. I'm looking for something else. And that was something that they should have stuck to their guns with. They could put up anybody. The message was more important than the supposed candidate they were going to run. And since they didn't run one, I have to ask this question. Is this a scam? Was that a scam? Was No Labels just a scam? I don't think so, because Joe Lieberman was involved, but that is the elephant question in the room. Sorry, I'm having a Botswana moment. There was something interesting about the RFK campaign that came out in today's USA Today. It appears as though Tulsi Gabbard reportedly declined an offer from RFK to be his running mate, his vice presidential candidate. Former Hawaii Representative Tulsi Gabbard reportedly turned down an offer to be the running mate for independent presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Quote, I met with Kennedy several times. We've become good friends. He asked if I'd be his running mate. After careful consideration, I respectfully declined. She may be getting a better offer. Yeah, she might be getting a better offer from Donald Trump, but I don't think that's the case, but it's out there. Kennedy, in his third-party presidential bid, explored various options for his running mate, including NFL quarterback Aaron Rodgers and former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura. Jesse Ventura is just a little nuts, but he was a member of the Reform Party, the most successful third-party candidate, at least in third party in my lifetime. I mean, they got governors elected, they got senators elected, they got state representatives elected. The Reform Party was real, and then it was infiltrated by Republicans who destroyed the party. And so once again, we've seen this play before. Anyway, it would have been a bad idea to get Jesse Ventura, because Jesse's a little cuckoo. Just a little cuckoo. Anyway, he selected attorney and tech entrepreneur Nicole Shanahan, who seems to be like a very good person. She was married to somebody that had something to do with, I believe it was Microsoft, and she's got a lot of money. And that's what it takes to win in politics, unfortunately, here in these United States. Gabbard's rejection of Kennedy's offer came amid speculation surrounding her political future and potential alliances. Trump allies also considered her for the vice presidential slot in Trump's potential run for the presidency. I think it's beyond a potential, but we'll see. Let's see. In an interview last month on Fox News, Jesse Waters Primetime, Gabbard expressed she would be open to being the former president's vice presidential pick. She said, if Trump was interested, quote, I'd be open to that. My mission is to serve our country. I want to be in a position to solve problems, Jesse, and we've got a lot of them to solve. That's true. Known for her independent stances and military background, Gabbard ran an unsuccessful presidential campaign in 2019 before leaving the Democrat Party and registering as an independent. You know, once again, why didn't No Labels grab Tulsi Gabbard as their presidential pick? Again, was No Labels a scam? I don't know. Anyway, maybe it was a trial balloon. I don't know. If they'd gotten some traction, maybe. But Tulsi Gabbard would have been a great pick for them, too. Throughout her political journey, Gabbard has frequently courted controversy, notably for her meeting with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad during the country's civil war and her decision to vote present during Trump's impeachment proceedings in 2019. That was a smart move. Tulsi Gabbard is smart. Despite these controversies, Gabbard remains a figure of interest in American politics, drawing attention from both progressives and conservatives. Her rejection of Kennedy's offer, along with her apparent alignment with Trump, underscores the complexity of her political identity amid the evolving landscape of American politics. That's what USA Today says. Elsewhere in RFK news, RFK has secured 2,000 signatures and will be on the presidential ballot in Idaho. This just came out. RFK, an independent presidential candidate, announced that his campaign has gathered enough signatures to secure his spot on the Idaho ballot, marking his 6th win in nationwide ballot access. This, by the way, from USA Today. Kennedy recently announced Nicole Shanahan, a California-based attorney and entrepreneur, as his running mate in his long-shot bid for the White House, gathering 2,000 signatures in Idaho, twice the number needed for a presidential candidate to secure ballot access in the state. Just last month, Kennedy's campaign succeeded in a lawsuit against Idaho over what it said was an unconstitutional signature deadline. As a result of the lawsuit, the state legislature passed a bill moving the deadline to August. In addition to the gem state, he's already collected enough signatures to get on the ballots in Hawaii, North Carolina, New Hampshire, Nevada, and Utah. Will RFK Jr. take votes away from President Biden? Yeah. Will RFK Jr. take votes away from President Trump? No. No, this is a threat to the Democrat Party, and they're looking at it and they're panicking. I've got more about that coming up in just a couple of moments. This is the Wells Report. Thanks for being with us here on this very beautiful Friday, at least in Texas. Bad weather in the Northeast, but we're having a great day. Back in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. Greetings. My name is John David Wells. Before we get to the Democrat Party panicking, there is breaking news. Apparently, A 4.8 magnitude earthquake has hit New York City, New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania, and so on. Fox News is covering the story. Let's join their coverage live as we got breaking news of things breaking, apparently, in a small earthquake in New Jersey.
James Pittenger. Terrific, sir. Thank you. Stand by. We may come back to you because we just want to get a sense about what people are feeling and how they're experiencing this together, sir. But it's good to know that everybody is okay and there doesn't seem to be a significant damage of any type that you've seen or heard about.
Not so far, yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Well done, okay?
Thank
Have
you.
a terrific
All right, take
Friday.
care.
Let's keep it calm, okay?
Okay. Yeah, we'll
All
try.
right. Thank you, sir.
These alerts that we're getting on our phones don't help actually with the calm, because they came so far after the earthquake happened that it was a little bit jarring for everyone as the alerts were going off. Of course, they're meant to encourage people not to call 911.
So our building is somewhat 44 stories tall,
Right.
and we all, the Fox outfit here is scattered among numerous floors in this building. We're right now on the second floor, and when Dane and I were on the air an hour ago, really it was just right around an hour ago now at 10:19 when it hit. We felt nothing on the 12th floor, but Stuart Varney is a floor below us, and he's felt and saw quite a bit.
Right.
And CB Cotton, I don't know where you were at the time, but you've been reporting now for the past hour or so. And let's get back to you together. Just a little more about what we're hearing.
Good morning. Yeah, well, I was on 21 when it happened, and I didn't feel much of anything. But when I came down here to floor 2, that's when everybody in the newsroom quickly started sharing what they experienced. And they said it was, again, 20 to 30 seconds of persistent shaking that really scared everyone because no one was sure at the time what exactly was going on. And Bill, we are expecting New York City Mayor Eric Adams to do a press briefing in about 40 minutes, right at the top of the hour at noon, to get more information from him. It seems like right now, Bill, what we're starting to learn with the initial impact from this earthquake are the transit issues that are coming from this. According to the FAA's website, there are ground stops at Newark, JFK, which are obviously two major transit hubs here in the Northeast. And it looks like there's some type of closure over at Boston's airport, but I'm not sure if it's related to this earthquake. But I can tell you, because of the earthquake over at Newark and JFK, there are ground stops there. Also, New Jersey saying there are transit delays of up to 20 minutes in both directions due to bridge inspections following this earthquake. So there are going to be some headaches for commuters this morning as a result of this. And right now, the one bright spot here in New York City, at least, is that coming out of the mayor's office, they're saying right now in their initial assessment, there are no signs of any type of major damage, but obviously they still have to assess all 5 boroughs where tremors were felt from people. Somebody in Brooklyn telling me this morning that this was so strong, they were worried the scaffolding on their building was going to fall off and possibly hurt somebody. So a scary morning for so many people in the Northeast. Bill Dagan.
Okay, CB, thank you. We'll cut you loose for the moment, but come on back when you get more, okay? Thank
Thanks,
you.
Bill.
Thank you, CB.
We have just heard that President Biden has been briefed on this 4.8 magnitude earthquake, the strongest earthquake, as our weather team at Fox was reporting, in New Jersey since the 1800s, Bill, 1884.
Wow. Can you imagine an earthquake in New York? Boy, that's going to suck. Did you see the cameras jittering? Did you see the cameras bouncing on the Fox broadcasts and in the United Nations? The United Nations. I tell you what, man, the United Nations hasn't been shook up that much since Yasser Arafat of the Palestinian Authority showed up to give a speech wearing a gun. Yeah. So there you go. Some breaking news. Thanks to Fox News for letting us dip into that coverage so that you know that things are shaking a little bit in New York. And who knows, maybe that'll have a beneficial effect because the ground shaking, maybe it'll stop the mugging for a couple of minutes. Well, I can dream, can't I? This is the Wells Report. Back with more in a moment.
Nobody Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. I'm John David Wells. Our chat room is flying this morning. So by all means, please do join it. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, Rumble. And you can also find it on Patreon. If you want to send me an email, you can do that. thewellsreport@frontier.com. Make sure in the subject line, in all caps if you would, put the platform that you're watching the broadcast on. I will answer every email. I promise. Let's see. Mugwump says a couple of things here. One that I've got to fix because he caught me making a mistake. But this is what he says. It's always amusing to hear people who don't live in areas prone to earthquakes get wound up describing their earthquake experience. For those of us who lived in California, it's just a part of a day and we move on. That's true. That's absolutely true. I spent some time in California. I finished up high school there. And then I moved to Nevada, which is just on the other side of California. And yeah, we got an earthquake in Nevada. And it was enough to slosh the water in the toilet. And the house sort of kind of did this thing. It moved a little bit and then moved back. It was over. And Susan said, "Hey, was that an earthquake?" And I said, "I sure hope so." And it was a pretty good size one. And I said, if that was epicentered in LA, it's gone because we're hundreds of miles away from LA. And it turned out to be just an earthquake that centered on 29 Palms. And so it wasn't any big deal. But Mug's exactly right there. By the way, Mug also pointed out two things that I have to fix because when, we're about truth here. We're trying to make sure that everything gets taken care of. I made a mistake with regards to Nicole Shanahan. I said she divorced somebody from Microsoft. Not true. It was Google. And so she divorced and got a whole bunch of money there. Also, by the way, the hostage crisis began in 1979, 1978. I was thinking 1979. Don't know why the 8 popped up. But then again, I can't do math. So there you go. So the election season. And people are making mistakes in the election season like they always do. And one of the interesting things about having a semi-free press is that there are other people in the press that are not foursquare behind Joe Biden and thus propagandizing everything he does. Fox News, of course, is biased the other direction. And so they've come up with this story that I thought I'd share with you, an internal memo showing panic within the Democrat Party over its nonpartisan voter registration efforts is currently drawing criticism from those who say the registration efforts were a partisan scam from the start. Huh? What? Yeah, it's fascinating. Democrats are all talking about how there are these voter laws are getting in the way of voter registration. My God, it's going to be terrible. We just can't do this. I mean, goodness gracious, we got to get everybody we can to register to vote. In fact, we'll make it so easy that people don't even have to take part in the system to do it. Well, that apparently is not something that they're advocating for, at least in this memo. Democrats across the country have become increasingly concerned over the amount of support that Trump is pulling from usually reliable demographics and donors that have been bickering over an internal memo casting doubt on whether the party should continue using nonprofit organizations to register unregistered voters over fear it could help Trump. Okay. Yesterday I was reporting how the Democrat Party is preparing for a life without a second Biden term. And they're doing all kinds of things like passing laws to attempt to hamstring a future Trump administration with various laws and treaties and so on and so on. And so I've been watching that and now they have this and they're saying, my goodness gracious, these policies aren't working. Bidenomics is not working. So say most of Americans. And we could lose this election. So if we keep registering voters, we'll be registering voters that might vote for Trump. Well, that's how you lose an election. Also bad policies. That's how you lose an election. When you do things that hurt American voters of either party, it makes no difference. That's how you lose elections. You just can't follow a party progressive agenda that damages lots of things in the United States, southern border, economy, etc., and win an election. You just can't do it. And now they're worried about registering voters because they might vote for the wrong candidate. Defeatism is submerging the Democrat Party. So here's what the memo said, quote, indeed, if we were to blindly register non-voters and get them on the rolls, we would be distinctly aiding Trump's quest for a personal dictatorship, so says the memo. Casting, I'm sorry. I should just be reading the news. News professional now. The memo explained casting doubt on the long-standing Democrat voter registration push that typically has resulted in favorable results in previous elections. The memo argues that Democrats should focus their registration efforts on only specific heavily pro-Biden populations. And the Washington Post explains that the rise in Trump support among non-registered voters has run up against a long-held Democrat policy priority of growing the voter rolls. Political analysts are claiming the Washington Post article shows that some Democrat registration efforts are labeled nonpartisan. In fact, they're working solely to register Democrats. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Democrats are very, very good at elections. They are very good at electioneering. The idea that happened in 2020, my goodness gracious, we can get an eggplant elected to the presidency of the United States. We are so good at elections, we can do that. And they did. They elected an eggplant for the presidency of the United States. Just an opinion. But anyway, now what's happening is that Democrats are going to heavily Biden districts and trying to get as many Biden supporters as they can to register to vote. Sad news is that since President Biden got 81 million votes last time, they're probably not going to find a whole bunch more voters in those Biden popular areas because those Biden popular areas already voted for Joe Biden. Will they do it again? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because of the aforementioned policy decisions made by this administration and by the Democrat Party at large. It's just, you know, you've got to have something the American people want, or they won't vote for you. The president is underwater in job approval ratings in ways we have never seen before. We've never seen a president with this low approval. The vice presidency is even worse. And I have said on this broadcast many, many times, I'm reasonably sure that Joe Biden is not going to be the Democrat pick. I don't know who will be. I mean, I suppose they could draft somebody at the Democrat Party convention in Chicago. Michelle Obama. That would be a good pick. But Michelle has said that, no, I'm not going to do that. And that's probably because that would be the third term for President Obama, wouldn't it? Yeah, President Obama is a very shrewd, canny political operative. And he would say, no, I don't have anything to do with this administration. And then everybody would say, oh, yeah, okay. So you wouldn't interfere with Michelle? Are you interfering with Joe Biden? Because there are an awful lot of people that think that President Obama is calling all the shots in the Biden administration. I haven't heard an argument that holds water that dissuades me from believing that that's true. So here we go with more of this rumination over this memo. Left-wing strategists accidentally said the quiet part out loud. Their nonpartisan left-wing voter registration efforts have always been highly partisan operations designed to help Democrats, which is okay. This according from Jason Sneed, executive director of the Honest Elections Project, speaking to Fox News. Quote, this admission in this memo raises grave questions about other programs the left also claims are nonpartisan, including President Biden's executive order using taxpayer money to mobilize liberal voters. The press should take note of and remember this rare moment of honesty from the left the next time they cry voter suppression. It's true. It's absolutely true. Everybody should vote. The political parties should do everything they possibly can to get as many people registered to vote as possible. And they should do it in a way that touches the people that are actually taking part in the American experience as opposed to somebody getting a driver's license. Just saying. Democrat donors are now getting memos telling them to stop funding voter registration nonprofits because unregistered voters lean towards Trump. This, according to investigative researcher Parker Thayer, posting on X in response to the report. He went on to say it's all a partisan scam. Well, there's more. There's more as Democrats are running around and saying things that you say as America collectively loses its mind during a presidential campaign season. Civil rights groups, this from USA Today, are warning that a bill in Georgia that creates new rules for removing voters from the rolls could cause chaos in the key swing state of Georgia if it's signed by Governor Brian Kemp. Secretary of State Brian Raffensperger's office said changes would provide clarity to county election officials who have been inundated with tens of thousands of voter registration challenges from Republican activists. It puts parameters around the challenge process, said Hassinger. This is a spokesperson for Mike Hassinger, is a spokesperson for Raffensperger. Whereas before it was wide open and there was no language, you could challenge a voter at any time for any reason. The American Civil Liberties Union of Georgia says the proposed law is anything but clear. It's possible that the intent of this bill was to provide clarity, said Corey Isaacson, the legal director of ACLU in Georgia. But unfortunately, that's not what the end result of this bill will do. We read it as generating lots of confusion, lots of inconsistency, and likely injecting chaos into this process right before the election cycle is about to begin. That's right. My goodness gracious, if you go through the voter rolls and find all the dead people that were so incensed about President Trump last time, they won't vote this time. Okay. That's more of that sarcasm I was referring to. But you got to ask yourself a question. If clearing the voter rolls of people who are not eligible to vote in Georgia, including emotional support animals, dead people, if you get rid of all of those people on the voter rolls, who will it cause chaos for? Who will it cause chaos for? People that are clearing the voter rolls, people who are angry that the voter rolls are being straightened out, and thus will file lawsuits, creating the chaos that they're so worried about having. It's much better to just leave all those people on the voter rolls, so we don't have chaos. Yeah. Once again, I keep waiting for these Republican Party memos that talk about how we have to stop registering people to vote because they might vote for Joe Biden. I keep waiting for those. I haven't seen many of them yet. I haven't seen hardly any of them. But who's writing all these memos? Who's doing all these things? By golly, it's Democrats. Why? Because they're panicking. Why are they panicking? Because they could very likely lose this election, and out goes the window that they have been throwing Republicans out of for gosh knows how many years at this point, and actually getting rid of an awful lot of progressive policies that Americans don't like much, according to polling. Once again, I'm just giving you my viewpoint. I'm working to be nonpartisan as possible. As nonpartisan as the news will allow me to be, I try to bring fact to this discussion. The facts are that honest voter rolls are part of democracy. Dishonest voter rolls caused by somebody worrying about chaos that might ensue if we don't get the dead people and the people that moved out of the state off the rolls is panic. It's absolute panic. I mean, how are we going to come up with the extra votes we need to get President Biden over the line if all these people are off the voter rolls? Again, I mean, I'm just being sarcastic. Sure you are, JD. Well, okay, stop it. We can't both be sarcastic in this conversation at the same time. We can't. So it causes chaos for election officials in Georgia to do their job? Maybe they got the wrong election workers. Maybe they got the wrong election officials. Maybe that's the story. I don't know. but I will report the news dutifully and honestly, like I always do. And yes, I will make comments. And you will too. And I appreciate it when you do. That's what the chat room is for. Let's see. Carol King. I didn't say Carol King, huh? I didn't do that. Okay, hold on. Remember the Texas earthquakes, the Corona area, Stony Register. Then all of a sudden, Mugwump says Carol King. What? What are you talking about, Mug? I missed it. Oh, Gary Abshire said, I feel the earth move under my feet. And then says, name that singer. Carol King. Tapestry. Great album. One of my favorites. Let's see what else is going on. Friday in progress. This is the Wells Report. I want to thank you for being a part of this broadcast. If, by the way, you think this broadcast has any value, please subscribe to it and tell your friends to subscribe to it. Hit the notification button. Give us thumbs ups. Support the report, more of which continues next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. Speaking of turbulence and things moving under your feet, 2 people were injured on a Southwest flight after turbulence. Forced emergency landing in Tampa is the headline on USA Today. A Southwest Airlines flight headed to Orlando from New Orleans made an emergency landing in Tampa after it encountered turbulence. 2 people, including a flight attendant, bounced off the ceiling of the cabin when it happened. Southwest Flight 4273 departed from Louis Armstrong New Orleans International Airport at 6:44, landed in Tampa at 8:56 after the captain declared an emergency and requested paramedics to treat anybody who might be injured, according to a statement from Southwest and available flight data. So this wasn't your typical turbulence. You know, the plane shakes a little bit, et cetera, and people go, oh my God. Well, this wasn't exactly that. There is a report from Fox 35 television in Orlando that talks about this, and here's that report.
I've been in turbulence before, and this was like nothing else.
Kevin Smith describing what forced his morning flight to make an unscheduled stop in Tampa. The flight from New Orleans took off without a hitch, but this Fox weather map shows its flight path through some storms in the Gulf. FlightAware tracking data shows the flight cruising at 37,000 feet. Then watch as the plane plunges more than 26,000 feet in less than 10 minutes before finally leveling off.
We had absolutely no warning, and everything was flying everywhere. People that weren't buckled in were banging their heads on the roof.
Smith, his wife, and 2 girls were on their way to a Disney vacation, and his youngest daughter, just 6, will never forget her first flight.
I'm safe. My girls are safe. And that's really all that's important is how I'm looking at it now.
Southwest's statement said in part, with our apologies for their delayed journey, there is no priority higher than the safest operation of every flight. Severe turbulence at cruising altitudes is extremely rare. FAA data shows only 30 passengers were seriously hurt by turbulence between 2009 and 2021. Most of them, according to the NTSB, weren't wearing seatbelts.
So how thankful are you to be on solid ground tonight?
I think anybody that was on it will appreciate life a little more. And very thankful. I've been thanking God ever since.
I felt the plane move under my butt. I hit the ceiling because I hadn't put on my seatbelt because I was going to the restroom. And then I got a scalp laceration. Boom, boom, boom. So what have we learned? Well, we have learned how to switch the cameras. We have learned that when you are flying anywhere that's, say, less than 3 hours, go to the restroom before you get on the aircraft. Get yourself a snacky if you want to. Don't necessarily drink that bottle of water before you hit the aircraft. Wait until you get off. That way you're not walking around the cabin with your seatbelt off. And oh, by the way, fasten your seatbelt. Fasten your seatbelt, have it around your middle. You don't have to make it tight. You just have to have it so that it keeps your butt in the seat in case, a Boeing door cap flies off in the middle of the flight so you don't get sucked out of the aircraft when it's going about 500 miles an hour. These are the important things that you need to keep in mind when you're flying around. So we're thinking about the 2 people that were injured. They were transferred to a Tampa Bay area medical facility. Southwest told USA Today one of its flight attendants was injured, transported by paramedics, did not confirm who the other person was. The flight eventually made it to Orlando's airport, MCO, but Southwest reported a 4.5-hour delay. So yeah, when you're flying in an airplane, you got to keep your seatbelt fastened. They say it every time, as they do those very cool little double-fingered doodad things, stuff like that. Tell you about the oxygen. Put the oxygen on you before you put it on someone else. I guarantee you I will follow that direction. I guarantee it. That being said, yeah, there also might be something else. Just take this for what it's worth. While we're talking about what not to do on an aircraft, like, for example, don't have a big bottle of water before you get on. You also might not want to order a nice broiling cup of tea. You may not want to do that, or coffee for that matter. Because, as we know, what goes up must come down. And if it's scalding hot water that flies all over your body, that could hurt. So when we're looking at the flight data on this thing lost a lot of altitude. I noticed that the report left out the actual altitude on the side of the curve. It had speed down here and altitude here, and it goes down a long, long way. I mean, seriously, that was not just turbulence. That was a serious bumble. That's what that was. So make sure that you do all the things that we talked about on your way to Disneyland. And remember, no matter how much turbulence you feel on the flight going to Disney World, I should have said Disney World, not Disneyland. Mug's going to correct me again. Anyway, whatever you do, any turbulence that you feel on an aircraft going toward there will be nothing compared to the tremors that go through your wallet when you buy the tickets to get into that park. I'm just saying. This has been the Wells Report for another week. I sincerely appreciate you being a part of it. Make sure that you subscribe to this broadcast. Make sure you tell your friends. Tell your friends about this show. If you find any value in it, share it with your friends. Hit the notification button so you know when we're on the air. We occasionally do live broadcasts. I'd like you to see them. Because if I'm like breaking in for live news, there's a reason. So you might want to join us. Also, by the way, hit the thumbs ups. Make sure that you give us those thumbs ups. They mean a lot to us. And if you'd like to support the show financially, go to patreon.com/The Wells Report. Have a great weekend. See you Monday at 9 a.m. Central Time for another edition of The Wells Report. And there you go. Seatbelts. No! Yeah, no kidding. I don't know why people don't do that. I learned that while I was a traffic reporter in Sacramento. Not a good thing to not do. Do not put on your seatbelts. Yvonne, thanks for all the work you do for this broadcast. I sincerely appreciate it. Hope you liked the show. A little rough this week, but I tell you what, this work week went by fast. I hope yours did too, and I hope you got a lot done. I got a lot done on this broadcast. So God bless all y'all. Take good care. Be safe. Make great decisions. I will see